Ready to roll today? Today we're going to continue on the commandments of which we receive great reward in the world to come and in this world. So if you follow our class, we're up to page 9, where it speaks about the greatness of studying Torah and the mitzvah of studying Torah. We learned about the 3 blessings we make before we study Torah every day. And then we had a sample of the written Torah, and now we're learning a sample from Masechet Peah of the oral Torah. The oral Torah is the oral tradition, which was recorded by Rabbi the Prince, and it's from Masechet Peah, chapter 1, Mishnah 1. And the reason why we read this particular thing, because at the very end, it speaks about the greatness of studying Torah. And this is about the blessing on the Torah. But in the interim, we're learning many other things. And this sample piece teaches us, in the very middle of the Mishnah, we say, Eilu Devarim, these are the matters, these are the precepts, that the fruits of which man enjoys in this world, while the principal reward is for the world to come. So there are certain mitzvot that the primary reward is in the world to come, but in this world we have fruits, the fruits of it. In other words, we have some dividends in this world. So we have the major asset that we have from this mitzvah, it goes with us to the world to come. That's the principal investment. But we constantly have fruits of that investment in this world. So the first one he mentions is Kibbut Avrohom, honoring your father and mother. Because when you honor your father and mother, it's self-understood that there are many rewards that you have in this world. You honor your father and mother, then your children will honor you as well. You honor your parents, you lead a respectful life. So it's a good life. So when you lead a life with respect, that is the fruits, the dividends of that commandment. But he says that the main reward, the world to come. But you get some rewards here in this world. In fact, the Torah itself tells us about a certain reward we get for honoring our parents. And that is, as the Torah says, honor your father and mother, so that you will have long life. So there is a fringe benefit that we are rewarded with long life, longevity in this world, if we honor our parents. The Torah clearly says that. There are only 2 places in the Torah where it clearly says the blessing of longevity for a particular mitzvah. One is honoring your father and mother, and the other one is also associated with that commandment, which is to send away the mother bird before you take the chicks. Torah says, very interesting commandment. Torah says, if you want to take the eggs of a bird, which you're entitled to, because the bird was in your tree, so you're entitled to take the eggs, for whatever reason you want to take the eggs. Either you want the chicks or you want to eat the eggs. But you can't be cruel to the mother, so you have to send away first the mother bird, shoo her away, and then you can take it. And then the Torah says, and as a result of that, you will have long life, longevity. Again, this is associated with the mitzvah of honoring your father or mother, right? Because it's showing respect to the mother bird, not to give her anguish and pain and suffering when she sees you taking away her children, her little eggs. So what you have to do first is shoo away the mother bird, and only then can you partake and participate and enjoy the eggs in the nest. But the Mishnah here is telling us that when you honor your father or mother, the dividends of that you will have in this world. So one of the dividends, obviously, according to this, must be longevity. Longevity, long life, is not the main reward. The main reward is still to be given in the world to come. So if you're respectful to your parents, you're going to get a big reward in the world to come. You get a little side benefit in this world. And one of the side benefits must be a long life. Now, it's an interesting idea that we say that you're going to have long life, because unfortunately we do see some people that honor, respect their parents, and they don't live long. That's like all the commandments of the Torah. The Torah says you will have good, everything will be great, and not everything turns out exactly the way is like it's geschriben, right? Like it's written. We see during World War II, for instance, there were many children who honored their parents and wouldn't leave the countries of the Holocaust. And they gave the greatest form of respect. They stayed behind. And some of them did not survive the war because then they were murdered together with their parents. Right? Many children during the Holocaust, in the camps, etc., they had old parents. They put themselves on the line for their parents. They didn't necessarily live so long. It's a very beautiful story that I read a while ago from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a very famous psychologist in Vienna. He created a philosophical movement, a philosophical ideology called logotherapy. Logotherapy is his, and it's based on a lot on his experiences during the Holocaust. And he tells a story in the introduction to his book that before the Holocaust, he was torn. Because being a great professor like Albert Einstein, he was given a visa to come to America. But he had older parents, and he didn't know what to do. He was torn. Should he go to America, and then his life will be much more safe, much more secure, better chance of surviving WW2, or stay in Austria, stay in Vienna, and be with his parents together. And this was already like in the late 30s, where the anti-Semitism was already rising. People saw already the writing on the wall. So he received a visa to go to America, and he didn't know what to do. He was torn. So one day he came to his parents' house. It was just after Kristallnacht. We all know Kristallnacht was the night that they went, which was 1938 maybe, and the Nazis and the people, they went and they broke all the windows of the shops. That's why it's called Kristallnacht, right? They broke all the windows. They went through the town, they pillaged, they burnt shuls, and they burnt holy books. And it was a very, very tragic night, and it was the beginning of what was to come later. And it was the day after Kristallnacht, whatever, he went to check out on his parents. And he came into the house, and he sees something strange on the table. He asks his father, what's this thing? There's like a piece of a monument on the table. So the father said, he was walking around the streets and the morning after Kristallnacht, and he gives a look and he sees the shul. They busted all the windows and they broke the tablets on top of the shul. In the front of the shul, they had these big 10 commandments. And somebody must have broken it. And it fell down and it's shattered on the ground. And he thought he'll take a little piece home as a souvenir, like a memorial for the shul, for the desecration, because it was already broken into many, many pieces. He took a little piece of the Ten Commandments that was hanging on top of their beautiful shul in Vienna, and Victor's father, not sure what his name was, he brought it home. And Victor said, "Oh, can I see it?" The father gave it to him. He says, "Here, this is a piece of the Ten Commandments." And guess what he saw on the piece that he brought home? Which word was on that piece of the tablets? It was none other than honor your father and mother. Kabed es avicha v'esimecha, which is fifth commandment of the Ten Commandments. So when he saw that, he says, "Oh wow, God is speaking to me." He wasn't sure whether to go to America, stay with his parents. Then he knew that his job was to stay with his parents. Now he took that as a sign that God was speaking to him. His father brought home to honor your father and mother. So he knew that that was going to be his decision, to stay with his parents. And sure enough, he survived, Victor. He lived a fairly long life. Survived the Holocaust, but there you have the peace that helped him make his decision as to whether or not. Now, it's, as we know, that the commandment, honor your father and mother, so that you shall live long, is the fifth of the Ten Commandments. It's on the first tablet. We all know that Moses came down. He came down with two tablets. Because God says, "I want to give you the tablet, commandments." So Moses said, "Ask God, how many tablets?" So God says, "I'll give you two." So Moses says, "Two tablets? How much is it going to cost me?" He says, "It's for free." He says, "Okay, give me two." Take two. If it's for free, I'll give you a second one. So that's how we ended up with the two tablets of the Ten Commandments. That's one of the old jokes. It is. Didn't really go anywhere, but nonetheless, it's a joke. So he took Moses came down with the Ten Commandments, but the mitzvah of honoring your parent, honoring your father and mother, is the fifth commandment on the first tablet. We say, why two tablets? Why didn't God give us one tablet with 10 commandments? It would be quite easier. Moses wouldn't have to come down with both hands. Just take one tablet, right? Why was it two tablets? It says the reason why there were two tablets is because the first tablet has the commandments between man and God. And the second tablet has the commandments between man and man. So if you look at the second tablet, it starts off, "Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false testimony, thou shalt not covet." So the second tablet. So those are all commandments, how we have to treat our fellow human being, right? Not to murder them, not to steal them, not to abuse them, not to bear false testimony, and not to covet. Covet is jealousy, but it's between people. The first tablet of the Ten Commandments has the mitzvahs to man and God. I am God, your God, the belief in God. Do not have any other gods before me. Number two. Number three is, do not say God's name in vain, which is respect for God. Fourth commandment is keep the Sabbath holy, because I created the world in 6 days, and the seventh day rested. In commemoration of creation, Shabbat. But then we have the fifth commandment that seems to be a little bit out of whack. Fifth commandment is honor your father and mother. Now, on the surface, one would say that is a commandment between man and man. So why wasn't it on the second tablet? If this is the distinction, that the first tablet is between man and God, and the second one's between man and man, why not put the last commandment on the first tablet on the other? So one will say, well, then they're a little bit uneven. Right? You'll have 4 and 6. It doesn't make sense, right? Then Moses will be like one tablet bigger than the other. All the shuls will have to be remodeled. All the Aron Kodeshes, all the tablets everywhere around the world, it'll be a mess. 4 and 6, how could you do it, right? It has to be 5 and 5. It has to be even. The rabbis explain that's not the real reason. The real reason is because the reason for honoring your parents is really all about saying that the previous generations know a little bit more than we do. It's saying that what came before us is greater. Sages say that when you honor your parents, that is the key to honoring God, because God is the parent of all parents. God is the cause of all causes. So if you respect what you come from, then you will come to respect God. So the channel and the key for honoring God is honoring your parents. A person that honors your parents come to honor God. And that is also one of the fringe benefits, is that when you honor your parents, fringe benefit in this world is that means that you're giving the previous generation respect, which means the generation before that, and before that, and before that, all the way back to God. So that is the channel of honoring God, is through practicing honoring our parents. And that's why hence it's on the first tablet, because it truly is a mitzvah between man and God. This goes contrary to the common today's generations, where we think that the future is much greater than the past. That is the general notion. You say, the old generations, they were a bunch of barbarians and backward people, and the old folks, the old country, what do they know, right? The way that's the modern approach, is that the old people, they were cavemen back there, right? Today we're progressive. Let me ask you, my friend, a big question. Do you think we've progressed anything from the times of Moses to now? Nada, maybe. If you look around the world, what's going on? We haven't progressed nothing. Maybe we progressed in science and in computers and robots, technology. Very good. We've progressed with Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and WhatsApp and Yahoo and YouTube, and yeah, we progressed. But have we really progressed? Is there any book that has given us more advice to life than, let's say, Pirkei Avot, which is the ethics of our fathers, which was written 2,000 years ago? Is there any book today that could give us more about derech eretz, about how to be respectful to others? Is there anything more than the Torah in terms of respect and honor and love and being a mensch? We haven't really come a long way that way. And that's our belief, actually, that the previous generations, they were giants. You go farther back, you go back all the way to Adam and Eve, who were the creation of God. Boom. There's a story that a little girl came home. The little girl said to her father, she says, to the mother, I'm a bit confused, mommy. You tell me that we come from Adam and Eve, and ultimately we come from God. And daddy tells her, I go to daddy, and he says to me that we come from the apes and the monkeys, and we come from evolution. Who's right? So mommy says, daddy's speaking about his side of the family, and I'm speaking about my side of the family. Daddy's family comes from the apes. We come from Adam and Eve and from God, right? Depends whose side of the family you're talking about, right? But there's another. That's a joke, but there's another story that sums it up a little bit more. There was once a rabbi, Yankiv Kamenetsky. He was once a rabbi, an old rabbi. He was originally a rabbi in downtown Toronto many years ago. And over the years, he became a famous Rosh Yeshiva, head of yeshivas. And he was a rabbi in many years in downtown Toronto. And Rabbi Kamenetsky, for the previous generation, he was one of the big Rosh Yeshivas, one of the big Plotkin. In America, they knew there was a Moshe Feinstein and Rabbi Yankov Kamenetsky. Rabbi Yankov was called. Rabbi Yankov Kamenetsky was one time flying on a plane, and he was sitting next to, he was there with his son on the plane, and he was sitting next to a professor from the university who was sitting next to him. And, towards the end of the flight, they struck a conversation. And the professor says to the rabbi, he says, Rabbi, I'm not a religious guy, but I am very impressed with your son. I'm watching him the whole time, how he's bringing you to eat, and he's bringing you your slippers. He said, whatever you want. He's taking you to the bathroom and back and forth. And Mamish is giving you such honor, such respect. That's incredible. He says, I wish I could inculcate that into my son. Somehow I can't seem to succeed in teaching my son to honor his elders. The rabbi says like this. He says, you have to understand that what you teach him in the university is very different than I teach him. You see, you teach your son that every generation earlier is less progressive, is more backward, archaic, and every future generation is more progressive and more scientific and more, So he can't help but looking at you as the old geezer, even though you're a professor at the university, but you're like, you're for the older generations. So why should he give you respect? He probably respects his children and his grandchildren, but the parents, the grandparents, how could he respect? The rabbi says, but in our teachings that I teach in the synagogue, and we teach our children the opposite. Teach them that every generation earlier is one generation closer to Moses, one generation closer to Adam and Eve, and ultimately back to God. And we were created in the image of God. So we ultimately come back. So every generation earlier is a greater generation. So that's why my son, he gives me so much respect, because he looks to me as one generation closer to God. And your son probably looks at you one generation closer to the monkeys. So how could he give you such respect? Probably gives his children, his grandchildren respect, because they're closer to the ultimate perfect human being. But regardless, I'm not here to reject the notions of evolution. I believe that a person can believe to many aspects of evolution, even if you believe in Torah. It's not contradictory, but that's not this class. But what the point that's being made over here is that in the belief that we come from God creates a much more, it facilitates a greater respect for parents and grandparents. So we need to give honor and respect to our parents and grandparents. And this is what it is, that when you honor your parents and your grandparents, you will live long. It gives you a long life. It gives you longevity, the blessing of longevity in this world. As I mentioned before, I posed the question, you see many people that don't live so long, even though they honor their parents. In fact, there's a story in the Talmud. Story in the Talmud about Elisha ben Avuya. Elisha ben Avuya was a colleague of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, everybody knows, is one of the greatest scholars of the Talmud of the times of the Mishnah. But one of his colleagues was a fellow named Elisha, the son of Avuya. He was one of the greatest scholars in his day. It speaks about 4 rabbis entered into paradise. It speaks about Rabbi Akiva, Ben Zoma, Ben Azai, and Elisha, the son of Avuya. But Elisha, the son of Avuya, even though he was a great Torah scholar, Talmud records that he became a heretic. At some point in his life, he rejected everything. He became a rejectionist. And even after he rejected the principles of Judaism, he still continued to be a rabbi for many because he was a genius, a brilliant guy in Torah. And Rabbi Meir, also a great rabbi, he continued to study by Elisha even after he became this heretic because he was such a genius. And but Rabbi Meir said that they asked him, how can you learn from this heretic? He says, I take the fruit and I throw away the peel. So I take the fruit, whatever he has good things to sell. So I take the wisdom that he gives us. But anyways, the story was, how did he become a heretic, such a great rabbi? So the story goes like this. He was very much a literalist in the Torah. And one day he was on a farm and he sees how the farmer tells his son, my dear son, do me a favor. I want to take the eggs in the nest on top of the tree in front of the house. I've been eyeing those eggs for a long time. Would love to have them. But you know, one of the mitzvahs of the Torah is to send away the mother bird first. So I need you to go take this ladder, go climb up to you young man, climb up to the top of the tree and send away the mother bird. So the farmer's son listened to his father. He brought the ladder, he propped the ladder up to the tree, climbed up, and he did the mitzvah. He took the mother bird, sent it away. He grabbed the eggs, and as he was taking the eggs, he lost his balance. He fell off the tree, and he passed away. Farmer's son. And Elisha ben Avuya was watching this. Elisha, the fellow who became a heretic. And they say, this, he said, made me a heretic. Why? And the Talmud records this for posterity. He records this story. It says, because he said, there are only 2 mitzvahs in the whole Torah where it says that you will live long. And this guy the son of the farmer was in the middle of fulfilling those 2 mitzvahs. Mitzvah number 1, he was listening to his father. He was honoring his father. And he climbed up to the top of the tree. Mitzvah number 2, he was sending away the mother bird. And while he was doing both mitzvahs that the Torah clearly says that you will live long, he fell off the tree and he died. So he says he can't reconcile the facts with Torah. And as a result of that, he became a heretic. Yeah. Now, this Mishnah, in a way, might be answering it. Our Mishnah that we're learning now in the morning prayers. What does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah says that the main reward is in the world to come. And one of the mitzvahs is honoring your father and mother. The main reward. You have some of the dividends in this world. But it still doesn't answer the question. The question really had a strong question. It says you will live long, longevity. So they brought this to the Academy of Torah Study of the day, and this is recorded in the Talmud in Masechet Chagiga, it's 15, somewhere around there. You can look it up. And they brought it to them. They asked the question, how do we reconcile a guy who was doing the mitzvah, following what it says, and boom, the 2 mitzvahs where it says you live long, he was in the middle of doing that and he falls off the tree and he dies. Smack contradiction to the Torah. So the Talmud, they brought it to the Academy and they asked the question. And the rabbis all came up with a consensus and said that long life, many times in the Torah, it speaks about long life. Not always does it mean long life in this world. It can mean also the long life, the eternal life. That long life can be translated, not necessarily literally. It could mean long life, meaning a meaningful life in the world to come. And that's how it is explained in all the holy books. That sometimes you have the long life, you have it in this world, sometimes you have it in the world to come. But be as it may, in this Mishnah it says that the main reward for honoring your parents is not necessarily in this world. It's mostly in the world to come. Only the fringe benefits are in this world. Now, if you give a look at that, you see that there are many people that honor their parents. Unsung heroes. You have a parent in the old age home or here or there, right? And the kids come and they honor them, they take care of them. Very special. Very special. But this could go on for years and years and years. And the kids don't give up. And they continue to show that honor and respect. It's a thankless job. Nobody there to thank them for it. And I've seen it in many people, like in different old age homes and things. Sometimes I go visiting and I see the kids there. It's a mitzvah that taking care of an old parent is a mitzvah that not everybody's up to it, but some people do it. And no, but they're not getting any awards or plaques here in this world. Nobody's honoring them at any dinner. When they give tzedakah, that they're honored at dinner. Nobody's honoring them at a dinner. There's no rewards for that in this world. It's only a score with Hashem. But they get in this world a fringe benefit. What's a fringe benefit? Fringe benefit might be longevity, like the Torah says. But to me, there's something even more than that. It's they are real heroes. They are real human beings. For themselves, they have a self-worth and a self-dignity. They will not let their parents rot somewhere all in loneliness. No. So they're mentioned. They're human beings. They're people that are living life like the way they should live their life. So yes, they're spending a lot of time doing this mitzvah, but they are a true hero. And secondly, the children see how they treat their parents, and one day they will treat them in the same way. Or at least we hope so. At least we hope so. Children see how you treat the old parent, and you give them honor, either old parent, not necessarily even in the old age home. I mean, that one's example I said, they see how they show kavod to a living parent. The children will one day give you what you give them, what you give your parents. That's the fringe benefits in this world. And I have more to talk about this, but it's already 22. We're going to take a little break. We continue the mitzvah Shem next week. We have a little bit more to talk about Kibbud Avrohom, and we have a few more mitzvahs. And the main thing to know in this world, that every good deed we do, we have a big principle in the world to come. We get big reward in the world to come. But while we're in this world, it's a good life. It's a good life when you live a decent life and you do what you're supposed to. It's a self-satisfaction. You know, there's some people I see sometimes, kids, they feel guilty for the rest of their life because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So don't wait to feel guilty afterwards. Do it now. And you do it now, then you have the fringe benefits of living a life without guilt, without anguish, without double guessing yourself, feeling maybe I did the wrong thing, right? The rest of your life. Do what's right today. Shikoyach.
Shikoyach. Beautiful class. I have a question, Rabbi.
Go ahead.
So you said the fringe benefit may be a long life in this world.
Right.
But the sages explained that it could be a long life in the world to come.
Yeah.
I thought when you get to the world to come, it is a long life there.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand your question, but that I'm just saying maybe that's not the fringe benefit. Like I said, there are other many great fringe benefits. One is your children will respect you. The other one is that you'll feel good about yourself in this world. And plus there are small rewards that Hashem gives you as dividends in this world as well.
Yeah, I get it. But when you said maybe it's not the long life in this world, it's a long life in the next world. That's
Correct.
what
Then it doesn't fall into this category. But for many people, they do have long life in this world as well.
Yeah.
Because the Torah does it. That's the literal translation of it.
Okay.
And if it doesn't happen, then you have to interpret it to the means for the world to come.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Rabbi, thank you for the wise words you give us.
Yeah,
Not only for
beautiful.
today,
Shabbos, good
but
Shabbos,
during the
everybody.
year. And Chag Sameach, Chag Kasher,
Karkasha
V'Sameach to you,
Sameach,
your family,
yeah, that's
everybody.
correct. So
and
next
Shabbat
week,
Shalom.
No problem.
Thursday, maybe we will have the class next week,
Oh,
Thursday, because it's only Chol Hamoed. It's
Right.
not Yontif. So I'll still give the class next week. Yontif is Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday, right? The two Seder's are
Yeah.
Monday night and Tuesday night, right?
Right.
So Thursday is the intermediate days. I should be available to give the class with Hashem's help. So we look forward to another class next week. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
Chag Kasher v'Sameach to everyone. If anybody needs,
Sameach and Shabbat
yeah.
Shalom.
Don't forget to sell your chametz, and if you have to buy matzah, we have a few extra pounds in the shul. You can come by. Okay, have a
Great.
good one.
Can I
Thank you.
sell it tomorrow, Rabbi?
Yeah,
Or
sure,
have it
no
come
problem.
today?
No
Okay,
problem.
thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.